What if the decision that felt like the end of your life was actually the beginning of God's greatest plan? What if losing everything was the only way to step into a destiny you never imagined? This is not just a love story. This is not just a story of survival. This is the story of Ruth, a story of loss, loyalty, quiet faith, and a God who works silently in the background while hearts are breaking in the foreground. In the days when the judges ruled Israel, the land fell into famine. Bethlehem, the house of bread, had no bread. Fields lay dry and empty. Families watched their crops fail. Parents went to bed hungry, wondering how they would survive another day. Among them was a man named Elimelech. With his wife Naomi and their 2 sons, he made a painful decision. They would leave Bethlehem and journey to the land of Moab in search of food and hope. At first, life in Moab seemed manageable. Food was available. The family survived. But survival did not mean peace. Not long after they arrived, Elimelech died. Naomi's world shattered. In a foreign land, surrounded by unfamiliar customs and gods, she clung to her 2 sons as her only remaining comfort. Years passed. Her sons married Moabite women, one named Orpah, the other named Ruth. For a moment, Naomi believed joy had returned. Then, tragedy struck again.
Both sons died. No warning, no explanation, no chance to say goodbye. Naomi was now a widow and childless. In that culture, this meant more than grief. It meant vulnerability, poverty, and a future filled with uncertainty. 3 women, 3 widows, no protection, no provision. When Naomi heard that the Lord had visited his people again and provided food in Bethlehem, she decided to return home, not because she was hopeful, but because she had nothing left. As they walked the long road back, Naomi stopped. She turned to Orpah and Ruth, her voice heavy with sorrow. "Go back," she said. "Return to your mother's homes. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to the dead and to me."
She kissed them, and all 3 wept. Naomi knew the truth. She had no husband to give them, no sons to offer, no future to promise. Orpah cried, then turned back, but Ruth stayed. Naomi pleaded again, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back. Go back with her." Ruth stepped forward, and in that moment, she made a decision that would define her life forever. "Do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." Ruth chose loyalty over security, faith over familiarity, God over everything she had ever known. She left her homeland, her culture, her future as she understood it, and followed Naomi into the unknown. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the town stirred. Women whispered as they passed, "Is this Naomi?" Naomi answered with pain in her voice, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has made my life very bitter.
I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty." She believed God had abandoned her, but God was already moving. To survive, Ruth went out to glean in the fields, picking up leftover grain behind the harvesters. It was exhausting work, humbling work, work meant for the poorest of the poor. She did not know whose field she had entered, but God did. The field belonged to a wealthy and honorable man named Boaz, a relative of Elimelech. Boaz noticed Ruth, not just because she was different, but because she worked with quiet determination. He asked about her. When he learned who she was and what she had sacrificed for Naomi, his heart was moved. He spoke kindly to her, protected her from harm, allowed her to gather freely. Ruth bowed in humility, overwhelmed. "Why have I found such favor?" she asked. Boaz answered,
"I have heard all about what you have done, how you left your father and mother and came to a people you did not know. May the Lord repay you for what you have done." Day after day, Ruth returned to that field, and each day God aligned her steps with grace. When Naomi heard whose field Ruth worked in, hope flickered for the first time in years. Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, a man who could restore what had been lost. With wisdom and care, Naomi guided Ruth. One night, Ruth approached Boaz humbly, asking him to spread his garment over her, a request for redemption, not romance. Boaz was moved by her courage and purity, but there was a complication. Another man had the first right to redeem. Once again, the future hung in silence. At the city gate, Boaz presented the matter before witnesses. The other man hesitated. Then he refused, and with that refusal, God opened the door. Boaz redeemed Ruth. He married her. The foreigner became family. The widow became a wife. Shame turned into honor. Ruth gave birth to a son named Obed. Naomi held the child in her arms, her emptiness replaced with joy. The women said, "Praise be to the Lord who has not left you without a redeemer." Obed became the father of Jesse. Jesse became the father of David, and generations later, from Ruth's line came Jesus Christ. A Moabite woman, a loyal heart, a quiet faith. God used her obedience to shape eternity. If you feel forgotten, remember Ruth. If your sacrifice feels unseen, remember Ruth. God is writing a story bigger than your pain, even when you cannot see it yet. If this story touched your heart and strengthened your faith, don't let it end here. Subscribe for more powerful Bible stories that remind you that God is still working behind the scenes of your life. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that could change your perspective and your prayer.